YouControl is a Ukrainian team that generates technology and services for business analysis. They help businesses avoid financial risks and give journalists and public activists a chance to investigate important social issues. It is a highly innovative part of the rich ecosystem of technologies and initiatives that have sprung up since 2014 to counter the Russian invasion of independent Ukraine. Today, I'm speaking with Danylo Globa to learn more about YouControl. Welcome to the channel.
Thank you very much, Jonathan, for your invitation. Let's maybe get right down to the main issue of this interview about, I think it would be about company check, about countering Russian aggression, about other things which help to make our society, our government, and other processes more maybe transparent, more simple, yes, and without negative issues like corruption and so on and so forth.
So when was the technology created, and really what was the sort of inspiration and purpose of this solution that you've brought to the market?
The main idea of the service came into early 2014, yes, and since then it developed to a product, not only one product, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different solutions, yes, program solutions for different tasks. But altogether, they have a single mainstream making check. Yes, check of some entrepreneurship activity, check of individuals, check for the purposes of countering Russian aggression, yes, and in the way of funding Russian and Belarusian assets, first of all, in foreign companies.
And really, so, I mean, to put it in a word, the purpose is primarily to look at the source of money that's being invested, or if you've got a business and you're taking investment from an external source, you want to check whether that money is clean. You want to check the provenance and the source of that money. And of course, sanctions weren't in place, or sanctions were very light after 2014 and are now much more intense, aren't they? So is a big part of this also to help businesses and individuals not break the sort of sanctions regime?
Yes, yes, we help much companies to avoid negative consequences of sanctions. Actually, from Ukraine heard of sanctions for a very long time, but we faced it only in 2015. Yes, before it, we thought it's something like from Cold War and something about stopping Iranian nuclear program and something like that. Yes, we didn't know what it is indeed. Yes, but now we have a wide legislation. Yes, judicial cases and so on, and not only Ukrainian, but we use foreign legislation. US, we see many international bodies which imply sanctions. Yes, and Ukrainian company, they look not only inside Ukraine but in other jurisdictions. If we talk about multinational companies, transnational companies, and so in that way, of course, we help them to avoid negative impact of sanctions due to check of first of all of their partners, because YouControl system it is not first of all of checking Ukrainian businesses. We have a possibility to check every company almost every company in Europe, in United States, also in Russian Federation and in the UK. So this is a very good instrument of making check, of making compliance and due diligence. Also in different spheres, not only in legal, but taxation, finance, and so on. And the second one is about to avoid taking investments and making any deals with business which is connected to aggression countries, first of all Russian Federation and Belarus. So in this aspect we help to find out if Russian funding, so Belarusian they are in corporative structure of some business, of the business with which you intend to make some business or other connections.
So do you use publicly available data sources? Do you use data from various governments? But also, do you have ways of gathering sort of your own data sets to help inform this analysis?
Yes, our main idea, our principle is that we use only legal sources of information, only public information, primarily coming from government bodies. As you know, Ukraine is one of the leading states in the sphere of open data, because many other countries who told us how to make this data infrastructure, they are not the first now. Yes, Ukraine is one of the first countries in this sphere. Maybe on leading, we have much more leading position than Germany, than Italy, than most European countries and most or countries of the world. Of course, Great Britain is very, very powerful country in this sphere. Yes, we use its registers also. And of course, we profiling data, so our user, any entrepreneur, any individual can see that, of course, there is some, for example, Ukrainian company connected to British company, to Germany, yes, and we have an international picture.
That's really positive. And of course, you mentioned Britain and London being advanced in terms of financial data, companies, systems, and availability of data. But also, prior to the sanctions this year, London was one of the leading centers for accepting money, some corrupt money from Russia as well. So do you think your solution is especially important for businesses that are using, London as a kind of investment hub or place to get investments from?
Yes, I think it's almost panacea. What if you understand? Because when we started to analyze the world's systems like other, we found out that we are like pioneers, and we can count on the fingers of one simple hand those systems which help business to avoid risks. I don't know why this situation takes place, because IT specialists all over the world, they have wide possibilities to implement any decisions. Maybe I think this is because of weakness of open data in most of jurisdictions. And the second thing is I'm afraid of these walls, and I suppose I suppose those who see us they wouldn't judge strict, but I think GDPR and GPA British those legislation acts, yes, they nowadays they are rather like they do not help. They make complicities, yes, for the advance of open data. Because in every data of company, we see the information about CEO, about its shareholders, about beneficiaries, and this data is private. And as far as we know, there are much possibilities to delete this data. Yes, so-called the right to be forgotten. Yes, and if so, and this right to be forgotten, it opposes the principle of transparency and the even approach, yes, to every company, so to every business. If one business can erase its own data, there and the other doesn't do so, so there is no transparency and no equal possibilities for all. But that's the European and British approach, the world approach. So I think that we should revise some principles. Yes, and nowadays I think that it is positive that Ukraine didn't haven't yet implemented those approaches of GDPR and DPA. And thanks due to this, we can now make profiling of business data, including some personal data of those who is connected to businesses. So in that way, we can analyze negative things like Russian connections or Belarusian connections and connections between people and some sensitive details about these people and so on and so forth. We can't do this. So all this work, it is unapplicable.
And it sounds quite complicated. So often, the sanctioned individuals are individual members of the Russian government, administration, apparatchiks, oligarchs. So you have the individuals who are the ultimate beneficiaries, but often they'll work through shell companies, offshore trusts, and a very sort of complex, unclear network of associations. In your data, how do you make that connection between the money that's being invested and sort of end beneficiaries who are the individuals who are being sanctioned? How can you build up that complex picture?
We have the same approach as Sherlock Holmes. So this method of deduction we use to make connections between companies and individuals. some little details like addresses, phones, locations we use to match those data which is common to them, and in that way we make entire picture of this business altogether, like financial groups, financial structures. It can be national and international. Yes, and this helps us to understand what this business is, who the beneficiary or beneficiaries are. Yes, and what are risks, what are threats of this business and of these people, and what you should take into account as a potential partner. Yes, and actually, and for the for finalizing, to answer questions, yes or no, to cooperate or not.
And
Because
have you seen? Sorry.
Yes, sorry. Yes, many risks. With if we have some scale, yes, on this scale we have risks like reputational, like judicial, like legal, financial, and so on and so forth, all together. Yes, and of course, if we see that our risk include sanctions, include maybe some legal issues, some criminal cases. Of course, we shouldn't deal with such a business. Yes, but if we have some lighter risk like little reputation issues or something like that, or just financial, then we can maybe can have just some financial expertise and decide help due to specialists in this sphere to deal with or not to deal with. And this is a professional expertise. But if we see like in our interface that all our risks they are automatically indicated with a red or yellow color, that everything is red. Yes, and of course, if we have 10 or 20 red flags, of course, we can make a decision just within 1 second.
So you don't rely on just one data point or one judgment. You have a whole set of criteria. And a company can be all green, or it can be sort of a mixture of green and orange. But is there a point where you have a certain number of red flags and you would advise a company to proceed with caution?
Let me explain. Like on one example, let's pretend we have two companies. One company is with all red flags, and the second one is entirely green. But if we, it's very important to see the whole picture. Why? Because only one company, it can be green. But if we see all the connections of the company, yes, if we study all its risks altogether, all the partners of this company, all shareholders, shareholders, yes, this principle KYC, know your client, but and go further, know your client's client. Yes, and we have all this web. Yes, we can see that for example, shareholders of the company, they have very strong risks. Yes, because other companies they founded in the same sphere of business. They have most risks in legal, in taxation, in financial sphere. Yes, and this company is new for them. They founded it just to have a white blank paper. Yes,
Yeah,
and
clean
to
slate.
start
Yeah.
clear business. Clear, I mean clear. Yes, but this company, this is a hereditary of all previous business history. So, and that's why we understand on this example that we should study all the cases. We should see the wide picture, not only concentrate on one simple this puzzle. Have all the puzzles.
And I assume this methodology is obviously far more complex and difficult to produce, but it makes it far, far harder for the individual or the company that's trying to break sanctions regime. It makes it far, far harder for them, doesn't it, to evade, a methodology like yours?
Yes, of course. This is not actually a weapon. Yes, it's a an instrument how to avoid some negative issues. Yes, of course, and you decide how to use it. Yes, we have methodology, as you have said, how to imply this instrument to the certain case. Yes, the risks we should take into concern. Yes, the risks which are not applicable on this case. Yes, for example, in different sphere we have automated different mechanisms of risks definitions. Yes, which is which is applicable in financial sphere, isn't applicable in taxation sphere, and so on and so forth. And those indicators we have more than 500 indicators, including yes, financial, judicial, taxation, like registrational, media. If we have, if the person is indicated in some media, yes, authorized media, not only not on Facebook, it's not some posts of a person who simply doesn't like this company or that company. Yes, in newspapers, and if this newspaper, this media is have a national value, yes, this is a valuable source of information. For example, our companies which operates similar data, yes. For example, Thomson Reuters, they use the same approach. So they find if the name of company was indicated in some articles, yes, and then make an analysis, positive or negative news screening. Yes, we have the same thing, and the quantity of sources it gets more. We get more and more sources.
So what sort of size of company typically your clients? Do you work with sort of banks, middle to large size of companies, and right across the world? Give me an idea of who you work with.
The sphere of compliance, the sphere of due diligence of Ukraine, it's new to our country. but the business wants to know its risks. Yes, they do not want to cooperate with risky partners, and that's why they want to have instrument like us. First of all, it's financial sector. Yes, most of all, actually all the Ukrainian banks. I do not count banks with Russian assets like Sberbank. They are our users because it's our system is a powerful instrument for making compliance procedures, due diligence for bank customers, clients. And National Bank of Ukraine is also our client, yes, and our partner in tech sphere. They use not only our instruments but our knowledge. They have us like auto experts in their gatherings. Like, yes, they want to know our decisions, our thoughts, and also agricultural business. Every business with which deals with many counterparties to automate procedures of checking partners. Also government bodies, ministries, committees, and national police, structures of national police, courts of Ukraine, because of course government bodies, they do have access to open data, to public data, public information. But our main feature, our best feature, is that we not only show the data, we aggregate different information into one dossier about any enterprise or individual. Yes, and this information is gathered into one, into simple seconds, just like a snap. And you do not have to waste time for analyzing those different sources and to gathering them by yourself. We make them make it instead of you. Yes, and it is ready for use, and official bodies, they use us instead of their analytical departments.
Yes, is it cheaper, faster, more accurate?
Yes, and accurate. Yes, many of the companies they terminated. It's a pity, of course, but it's a progress. Terminated some positions of compliance officers because it's like technological revolution. If you do have a robot which produces, I don't know, clothes, you don't have to you shouldn't hire personnel which makes it, because you have a more efficient decision.
And of course, compliance officers are very expensive. You know, that's not a cheap profession, of course. As well.
Of course, it's like autopilot.
Yes.
Of course, there should be professional which uses this instrument.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, it's not like artificial intelligence which makes everything instead of you. But if before it business should have 10 or 5 specialists, it can now be just one person.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and the interface it's very simple, and you can learn it in some few days, and you shouldn't be a great professional. Yes, and we have examples when CEO of companies which bought our products, and this CEO, these directors, they seated against laptop. Yes, they studied our program, and they used it, and just they didn't do other things, but only checking and checking for some days, like first use of Facebook, when you check your counterparties, then you check your neighbors, check yourself, check your family members, check everything everywhere, and then then after it you can say, oh, now I am a professional. Yes, but this is very nice process. This full enjoy. I remember myself when I first saw the possibilities of this application. Yes, in early 2015. Then we have only 2 or 3 registries only. Now we have nearly 200 registers or even more. But even then, it was very interesting. It was enjoyment. Now it's like like intellectual orgasm.
Excellent. And you mentioned Sberbank a minute ago. So did you say that Sberbank, which is a Russian bank, is that they're using the solution too? Or is that
No,
Ukrainian
they do not
Sberbank?
use it.
No,
It was our decision. It was our principle from the very beginning of our activities, not to sell the product to Russian companies, companies with Russian capital.
Yep.
First of all, this decision, it wasn't our official decision. We just denied solemnly, because before 2022, it was like a discrimination, because we didn't have legislation aimed at countering Russian aggression. Now we do have it, and now it's our official position not to do so, like position of the whole state and international community.
And that makes sense, doesn't it? Because you don't want the country that is seeking to avoid the sanctions to have access to all that data so they can find ways to get around the regime. So that's perfectly sensible, yeah.
Yes, of course. This is very a very efficient instrument, and so those who the risky business, it can use it to avoid sanctions. But that's not the main idea. The main idea is that this risky business should be under sanctions, and we can't afford it. So in some cases, we even promote Ukrainian government to impose sanctions on some businesses. Yes, and we advise some Ukrainian bodies how to make restrictions. So we do very important activity in this sphere.
And what impact do you think that's made? Because, of course, the sanctions are very important for the war effort, are very important to deny Russia the money and materials it needs to continue its aggression. So do you think your solutions had a very positive impact on helping Ukraine in the war?
Using it in only in Ukraine, it helps, of course, but it's insufficient. If all the world use our means, yes, if United States, European countries, and all other world have used our system, yes, our possibilities, it would be much more efficient. But there is some, I don't know how to formulate it, such a problem that many companies, many people, they haven't heard anything about us. I wonder how can that be, because the issue of countering sanctions, negative effect of sanctions, countering Russian aggression, countering risky business, it's topic number, if not number one, then number two, of course. I don't know why it is so.
And how's that going to change? How are you going to try and raise awareness of the solution? Is that through advertising, marketing, or do you really have to work with governments and administrations to raise that awareness?
We try to use all the ways. Marketing, yes, we have a new product, RU Assets, one of the programs. It helps to avoid sanctions due to finding, yes, to analyzing Russian and Belarusian capital and corporative connections. And this product we try to widespread abroad within businesses, journalists, government bodies, and so on and so forth. But I do not see that just overwhelming interest in it. I don't know why it is. Maybe that's because of pretty big conservatism in such spheres of Europe and Great Britain and US, or maybe what I can't just formulate.
I mean, are there
I don't know. I suppose and I hope that it's like like a little piece of fire when someone took it and it's widespread at once. I think we will see that moment in the near future.
Well, I wish you a lot of luck with that. It sounds like an incredibly important technology to help stop the flow of corrupt and stolen money around the world, and to protect businesses, their reputation, and to increase the whole resilience, financial and digital resilience of society, which is so important. Because as we know, Putin may be defeated, but the fight will probably carry on. It won't necessarily be a liberal leader of Russia. Russia won't suddenly become a rule of law country that is observing international law and financial regulation. So I think your solution is going to be incredibly important in future, as much as it is now.
Yes, I hope so. I hope so. And it's not like that we made our first step just yesterday. No, it's our long way for for 7 years already. Yes, and we proceed to go. We proceed our tour to the world, and we are knocking at the doors of most countries and say, look at us. We are here to help you, and it's better you have us than you do business only by yourself, relying on your intuition or on shamans, or I don't know, or I don't know who, or on your all business analysts who just mostly take money for clever words. Yes, and nice papers. Yes, complicated phrases which client doesn't understand. And these experts say, so you shouldn't understand it. You should pay for it. We help to facilitate complicated things to simple solutions, to simple decisions, to deal with or not to deal with such a business or individual. And that's everything. That is everything normal business should have. But not dozens of experts who can't explain in simple words what to do.
What you're doing is data-led, transparent, and it sounds far more scientific than the previous methods.
Yes.
Danylo, I think that probably sums up the technology perfectly, and I want to wish you lots of luck in the future as it evolves, and hopefully the adoption of your solution will, as you say, take off internationally to help with the sort of transparency that we need in our societies and to protect our democratic institutions from corruption. Really grateful to speak to you today.
Thank you, Jonathan.
Been a real
Thank you,
pleasure.
Jonathan. You can contact us always, yes, and we can have a talk on every issue concerning open data, legislation, corruption, sanctions, and so on and so forth. I'll be glad to see you further, and have a nice evening.